So hi everyone, and welcome again to the Migrant Hope channel. So as you can see, I have a very wonderful guest here with me today. So as you know, we're going on our self-development journey for the month of November. I just want to say thank you for everyone who has subscribed thus far, and if you haven't, make sure you subscribe so that you stay connected to us. And from the title today, we're going to be talking about making the choice to step out from a known career, and I'm going to let our guest here introduce herself and take on and go forward with this conversation. So can you tell us about your name, all that kind of stuff about yourself, and kind of like your career?
Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Asmara Araha. I am a talent acquisition coordinator at an ad tech company. I went to school for cybersecurity, management information systems with a cybersecurity concentration and an accounting minor.
Yes, when you went initially, you know, or even with the whole like IT, like MIS, right? Why did you believe that that was the right thing for you? You know, why did you think that, okay, this is what I kind of want to pursue in terms of like career-wise and all that? Why did it resonate with you?
For me, I think it was more of it was a hard change. Like I went through it and I was just like, Mom, like I'm supposed to work at this company when I graduate. Like I know I want to do that, but I really hate my classes and I'm like miserable. And when I took more and more of his classes, I was just like, this felt natural. Like I didn't feel like I was forcing myself. Like obviously school is school, like your exams and all that. Yeah. But I wasn't miserable in my classes, and I wasn't miserable to even study before I started studying. Okay. So it was more of it was one thing. My professor was like, you know what, you can use this role in the role, like you can use this major in the role that you're trying to go into.
Okay, and what role was that?
I thought I wanted to be either an advisory associate or an auditor.
Okay, all right.
So he was just like, with the MIS background, you can still go into that. You may have to take more courses, but I was already an accounting major at that point. Okay. And he was like, at that point, he was like, it'll give you a special skill set that other people may not have and give you an advantage. So I double majored at first, but then I realized that once I realized CPA wasn't for me, I was able to focus more on that. Okay. And I also did not know what I wanted to do with that major at that time.
Okay. And I think, guys, like this is also important information for our viewers, you know, like realizing that sometimes not everything, you could kind of go into something with that knowledge, like, okay, this is what I want to do. And we'll talk more about that later. And then you kind of realize, like, okay, I'm not happy. I'm not really exceeding as well as I can do. So I want to be able to kind of deviate and adjust. And adjust. And I think one important thing that we kind of want to stress is like, it's important, or it's okay to make that choice, and it's okay to be different and to kind of like, you know, not go that same route that you had always wanted to go, like professionally, you know. So I guess the next question is what caused you to actually be displaced? So for the most part, you know, you wanted to be in like you mentioned, you wanted to be an advisory associate, and then all of a sudden now you're working in talent. Like what happened? Like what was kind of the process, so you can help our viewers, you know, if people are going through that same scenario, people are going through the same thing, what should they be looking? What was a red flag for you, kind of?
So I pushed it, but for me, it was more, so I don't know if I mentioned that. So I'm a talent acquisition coordinator, and when I graduated, I was still trying to pursue those roles and more of the advisory and still be in my safe zone, because that's what I understood. I was a part of an organization that was predominantly accountants. So I was comfortable. I got to know people. I got mentors within that field, and I had exposure to the point where, okay, if I start, I have an idea of what I'm doing. I had no clue I wanted to go into talent. It was more of when I noticed that things weren't working my way, I had to sit down and be like, why am I even doing this? Am I doing this just to get into the company? Do I really want this role? Is that what I'm going to be happy doing? Or maybe God has another plan for me. Exactly. So I kind of had to sit back, and it was hard. It's going to sound easy now, but my mentors kind of sat me down, and they were just like, what do you enjoy doing? What are you good at? What don't you mind doing? And like, what did you do in school that was like, you didn't procrastinate, you got it done, and you didn't mind it? And they kind of went over like different roles. There's a job for everyone, and like not focusing on what's out there or what the money is or what the salary is. It's what do you want to do, and then you can figure it all out after. It's 10 times easier. Okay. So for me, it was adjusting.
I guess let me interrupt you for a little bit. So I think one thing I'm hearing is about self-reflection, right? Yeah. Like you realize that, okay, you're not getting what you want, so you took some time to sit back and just reflect.
Exactly.
Do you think that as millennials, like that's something, and I know we had touched on this last week, but how important, like how important do you think that self-reflection is in like your career journey and that trajectory?
I think it's really important because you won't grow without that. And like even just while you have the role or while you're working or even an assignment, like asking for feedback, just reflecting on yourself and seeing what am I doing and how can I improve, because everybody wants to be a better person the next day. So don't focus on the external, just think about yourself. What am I doing? What's my next steps? And what do I need to do to get to my next role, to get to my next goal?
Yeah. And I know, guys, we talked about this last week, but not to sound redundant, but we really believe in the importance of like self-reflection, as Maret said, like it's very important. As millennials, as young professionals, you have to take ownership of your career,
Exactly.
kind of your path, right? So that way, if you're sitting and thinking like, okay, like, if something is not working out, I need to readjust. But you cannot readjust and you cannot strategically think if you haven't actually sat down to reflect.
Exactly. You don't know what to fix. And once you know the problem,
yes,
you can tackle it.
Easy. So guys, you have it. There you have it. And I guess in the moment, right? All right. So for example, I've always wanted to be, let's say, like a financial analyst for like a huge bank, let's say like Credit Suisse or something, and it's just not working out. So what was your initial, like, how were you doing personally? Like how did you feel, and like how did you kind of like snap out of it and say, okay, you know what, this is what's going to happen?
So I think the biggest key is not only having a support system, because your support system can only help you so much, having mentors that really invest in you. Because sometimes it's hard to get yourself out of that. And when you're doing everything everyone's telling you need to do to get to that goal, and you're just like, what is there left for me to do? To have someone there that's in that role or have gone through it, sit down and like kind of give you some type of guidance. We all need some type of direction, whether you get it through research, through a mentor. Having the direction and the guidance from my mentors, and I have multiple mentors. You can have mentors that are your peers, old professors, people that are working, or somebody you met on LinkedIn that's doing what you want to do.
Exactly.
And I think the biggest key for me was having a support system, but really having a mentor that made themselves more than available to make sure that I was getting to where I need to get. And it was more of, I think it was more of having someone there to help me guide my way. And also, like, just you need to find something that's gonna motivate you. Like, forget the job, think about why you're doing this. It could be about your future family, your current family, for yourself. Like, you need to remember why you're doing this, and that's going to motivate you to get it done. Even if you're in the funk, like you're like, oh my god, that's another, you're just like, okay, let me apply to 10 more places, or let me pick up this book and learn about, they're saying maybe I like on this type of knowledge, let me pick up a book and learn about it, instead of saying, oh, I didn't learn about that in school. Taking initiative.
Yes. And I guess like that's really important, like not making excuses, right?
Using all of your resources.
Exactly. Like you realize, okay, I'm not happy here, I may have to choose something else, I may have to go a different path. Use your resources. There's a lot of information on the internet. You want to be able to leverage the resources that you have to be able to kind of get where you are. And it's not okay to just sit and just be comfortable, right?
You always want to grow.
Exactly. You have to, because that's really the only way you're going to ever succeed in life. It's by putting yourself out there. Okay. And now you're working now. I guess you kind of touched upon it a little bit, and how your mentor helped you in saying what is it that you don't mind doing and all that kind of stuff, to kind of say, okay, this is kind of where I wanted to go into. And do you find that now being in talent acquisition, it's more so like, it's something that comes natural to you, like you don't feel like you have to? And do you think that having that sense of like, okay, it comes natural to me, is that important, like when people are thinking to reevaluate their career?
So going into it, I had no HR knowledge, like at all. There were terms I didn't understand. There were a lot of like political things that from our end that were completely different. There's so many things that were different, but as long as you have like the passion for it and the will to learn, like I did take initiative and speak to certain people, and through those conversations I got to learn about certain things. And there's a glossary out there, and you find that glossary, and it's terms that are used in your team or in your industry that other industries don't use. So when you become passionate, it's like when you're obsessed with something, you're just like, oh, let me learn about this. And it's like, it's not homework, it's things that you want to learn.
Exactly.
And that gave me a jump start, and I'm still learning a lot right now. But in talent, I think there's certain things that I do now that I indirectly did when I was in college in my organizations.
Yes.
And I think that was a part of like assessing myself. I realized there were certain key points, and I knew I didn't have a talent or HR or people background, but there were certain things that I did in my past that kind of led me here.
Exactly.
And just using transferable skills, right?
Yeah.
But overall, the skills that I learned in those classes did transfer over.
Okay, very good, very good. And how would you say, like, just on a scale of maybe 1 to 10, how has your journey been so far in like your new role, and what would you say, like, what are you happy, and is it keeping you like motivated and going?
Obviously everyone has their down days, but I love like the exposure that I get. The role that I do want next, I have great exposure to that through my recruiters. They know that I'm interested in that, and the company invested in me. So this is a company that I never heard of while I was obsessed with certain companies while I was in college. But it was a perfect fit for me. The people I work with are great. Like, even the office environment, the culture fit me perfectly. I could be in the kitchen and I'll meet someone from our legal team, and they'll just have a conversation. I'll learn something from them, and I know in the future when I work with the legal team for a legal role, I have that person as a key person. So using all of your resources, the company had the same values and kind of on the same page. So what I was now, I'm really happy, and I'm happy that I took that risk.
Yes.
It was hard, but we're here, and I'm satisfied, and I don't have any regrets at all.
Snaps to that, guys. Snaps to that. And okay, so just so that we kind of conclude and round up, right? So guys, we kind of went from Asmaret's story, right? She went into college, she had, this is what I want to do, this is what. Okay, eventually it didn't work out that same way, you know. She realized, okay, this is not what I want to do. Life happened, you know. And sometimes, you know, like we were talking earlier, to know God may have been saying, all right, this may not be what I want you to do, type of deal, you know. And then now she's actually doing something that she really believes she's adding value. Would you say? Yeah. You're adding value. You're growing. You know, you it's helping you get to where you want to be as an individual, and in the process, it's also helping your professional experience. So let's say now for our viewers, right? People are going through the same thing. We talked about this afternoon. People are not happy where they are. Give me maybe 3 tips, just piece of advice. Just, you know. Would it be like
tips are, so my first one, I do want to touch on agency. So I'm here now, but a part of it was me taking a step back and trying out agencies. That was something I tried out. With agencies, there isn't as much security because you don't get the benefits and all of that, and technically you're working through agency for a company, so you're not working directly with that company. But there is a plus side to it. Number one, if you're still figuring it out, you can try out different roles for short terms, and it won't look bad on you because these are temporary roles. So if a company sees that you have, sees my first tip, and my second tip is learning how to problem solve. So everything that could go wrong will go wrong, and you need to, not saying it, you need to assume it will go wrong and be ready. So when preparation meets opportunity, it's a real thing. So if you're well prepared, if anything goes wrong, you're well prepared. Piggybacking off of, use all your resources. Your network, getting to know people, the people you work with, you don't know what background they have. So I look into agencies if you're really lost and you're trying to figure it out. And if you have nowhere to start, just start there. You know, when they interview you, go in there, they kind of help you narrow it down as well. Okay. So it's not like a regular job interview where you're walking in, it's like, if you don't want this role, you're confused, it's not it for you.
Exactly.
You go into there, you're interviewing with a recruiter, and they ask you certain questions. They ask you about your experience, and they're like, maybe you should talk to this team as well. And they'll start throwing roles at you, and you start looking at the descriptions, and you're like, maybe I wouldn't mind doing this. And you learn about roles that you didn't even know existed. There is a role out there for everyone, and if it's not there, it's going to get created.
Exactly.
So don't just settle for roles because of the company or what you think it's about. Just look into it. Look at who you're going to be working with.
Yeah.
I know I passed 3 tips.
No, that's
but
good.
These
that's
are some
good.
of the tips that like I feel like were really important, and I've learned, and I wish I knew, but I'm happy I know them now.
Exactly. And I really think like what you said about like really like paying attention, you know, like it's okay to have a stepping stone to get to where you want to be. Like many times, you know, we just want to arrive.
Yeah.
But sometimes you want to arrive, but you don't even know where you want to get to.
Exactly.
And that's why, like, you know, using these agencies or using your resources as
just
you
taking a step back. And,
exactly.
like, taking a minute to look at the whole picture
and think about what it is that you really want to accomplish. So I just want to say thank you again.
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. She made a trek, guys. Thank you so much. I'm actually very, very grateful. This is the first time we're actually like talking and everything, and like we've connected so much today. Like thank you so much.
I have a new connection.
I know. Definitely like this video, share and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.
All right, bye.